I'll start over. F this. Hello to my well-defined target audience, and welcome back to one of these. What I'm about to share with you is probably the best thing that's ever happened to my impro, without exaggeration. And I hope to spark that little something in someone else, hopefully. And yeah, let's get started. So the piece in question, last time it was Fantasy Impromptu. This time it's another one of Chopin's. So it's Op.25 Etude, Etude 12. It's also known as the Ocean Etude. I guess it's because it's kind of like wavy. All right, so I'm gonna tell you what the basic idea with this is. So the first step is to pick a chord, any chord. In Chopin's case, this etude, it's a C minor etude. So it's that C minor. It doesn't sound like it. I'm sorry, I haven't tuned it all that well. But anyways, you have C minor, and you arrange it such that you have two octaves, one in each hand, and you have an in-between note. In this case, we have C on the left hand, C octave, and then an E flat octave on the right. And then the in-between note will be the same for each hand, which is a G. And it's played, well, I play it with, well, the second finger, so on each hand. But you can, the third finger also works well in the left hand. So yeah, this technique or this pattern should be simple enough for you to be able to use almost any of the three fingers for the in-between note. So and then the next part is yeah, so you arrange it. You've done that as the second part, and then you arpeggiate it. So it's a fast pattern. It's a 16th pattern, right? So what you want to do is arpeggiate the three keys or notes, so like that, right? And then you just move it across octaves, right? So yeah, like that. Maybe just to play it a bit slower. Yeah. So there's an interesting thing that happens there rhythmically, right? You have like it's kind of like a little groove going. That's, you know, to me, just as a side, because it's not all that crucial for this technique, I feel like. But you know, if whoever's watching is more sort of rhythmically attuned, I guess you could use that as the kind of focus or focal point for this technique. Up to you. But yeah, for me it's just a fast technique to create a lot of volume. I'll show you what I mean just by, you know, speeding it up a bit, and you'll see. Actually, I'll just play the first few bars from the actual etude. So. I can't remember anymore. I'm sorry, it's been a few years. More than that, actually. But you get the point. Yeah, so that's the basic idea. This could all be just summarized by saying, you know, step one, just learn to play the piece. Learn to play the bloody thing and pay even the slightest attention to what's actually going on, because it's quite literally that pattern that's being used throughout the whole thing. So learning that is very valuable. At least it was for me, and I'd assume that it would be for anyone who'd want to kind of incorporate this in improvisation. Now, I've outlined the pattern. You have 3 notes, or maybe even a better way of saying this would be just that you have a chord that's been broken into, you know, an octave, so in each hand, and it's arpeggiated and moved across, right? So you go up and you come down. Here we have 3 octaves, but I've used 3 octaves, but you could have 4, you could have 5. It's all up to you. Of course, if you have more than 3 octaves, it might change the rhythm if you're fuzzy about that, because I've only used 3 notes per octave, or Chopin has. So it doesn't have the same time value. That won't add up as a bar, if that makes sense. Now, okay, so we've outlined the pattern, but how the hell are you supposed to practice it, right? How are you going to hardwire this into your nervous system? Because obviously, like last time, you have to be able to, you know, suffer severe whatever brain injuries and still churn this out, right? That's the idea. We want to be totally just dumb while playing, so that we can perhaps focus on other things like what chords we want to bring out, what melodies we want to bring out. So that's the idea. And how are you going to achieve that? Well, for me, it was just learning the piece and playing around with that pattern. So you could try using other chords, you know, use your imagination a bit, you know, like I want a major 7th. Okay, so let's say B major. So this is the chord, right? Now how would you achieve this? Well, you could have B, F, B on the left, and you guessed it, D, A, D. That's nice, isn't it? Okay, but anyway, so yeah, so use that and you could go like that, right? Oh, I love playing that sort of thing. I love that chord. But yeah, so you play around with different chords, and just, you know, it could be anything. It could be horrible, right? It could be nasty. So you could have like, okay, let's see if I manage. Oh yeah, it could be something like that. I didn't quite succeed there, but oh well. Maybe it's okay. Right, but that's one way of practicing this. So you just go ahead and just mess around, right? You have to have a low bar, a low threshold for just messing around all you want, because that's just gonna magically I'm not kidding, it's gonna magically just move you towards a better place. And I mean better in the way you want it to be better, right? It's great. Yeah, but obviously that if you just want to learn this pattern, you aren't maybe interested in learning a whole piece. Maybe you hate Chopin. I don't know. You can do these several practice patterns. Right? These aren't, you know, it's not nuclear whatever physics. It's not rocket science what I'm about to show you. But so one way is to play the arpeggiated chord and then move it across like that. So you, like that, okay? I'll do it slower. So essentially what you're doing is you're practicing moving your whole hand across one octave. Another thing what you're also training with that is you're practicing putting your thumb where your little finger was. So, and conversely, when you're coming down, it's the other way around. You're putting, well, it's different for each hand as well. Oh God. but yeah, you're practicing putting your finger where the last finger was. So in the case of the left hand, you'll have the fifth always bouncing up when you're going up, and then you have the thumb coming where your fifth finger was when you're coming down, and the other way around for the right hand. Right. And so you just practice this, you know, repetitively, and you'll have it ingrained pretty quickly, I'd say. So, right? You can go as fast as you want. Maybe use even, I don't know, if a metronome is in your toolkit. For me personally, it never has been. Maybe it's audible. Now, yeah, and obviously you want to practice going up and you want to practice coming down, because you want both of them to be equally brain dead for you when you play. Yes. So I guess that would be called impulse training, right? Impulse training. So you kind of giving that impulse always. So it's right. Another good idea is to have the rhythm ingrained. Now, so what I mean by this is you accentuate the first note of each group of four. This is pretty standard. So like that, for example. And that way, what you're achieving is you're getting rid of the accents that come on on each octave, right? Oh well, maybe you might want that, but you want to be able to have it as smooth as possible as well, rhythmically speaking. For that, it's also useful to practice like like that. So using kind of like a swing rhythm. These are all good ways. That's all I'm saying. Great ways. So we've recognized the pattern in question, which is the pattern from the Ocean Etude, and we've moved it across, right? So this would be the abstraction step. Now to kind of wrap it up, what this abstraction step means is you learn to play it, play various chords with it. Play just any chord you want, or rather you feel like playing. So whatever pops into your head, you're ready to just roll it like that, without thinking. We don't want any thinking. Right? Something like that. Now, so after that, what we want to do is we want to apply. This is the application step. And boy, does this have applications. Let me tell you. First of all, is the obvious one. You can just use it as a way to express the chords you want to express using this technique. And you have this immense, lovely texture and volume for free. But it has other applications as well, like you could play a melody with the right hand. So Chopin does this in his Etude. Well, that melody is played with using the chord, yeah. But that's a bit complicated. It's compositional. You can also do it just by changing what the octave keys are. So you can go from E flat to other keys. So let's see if I can demonstrate this successfully. It's always a bit iffy. clear kind of melody there. But yeah, so that's one. Another great one is using it as accompaniment for the right. Is that how you say it? So you have it on the left hand, right? And on the right, you're playing something else. And this should be simple enough if you've managed to ingrain this pattern into your fingers and muscle memory. So you could just play a chord on the right hand, maybe a note. So it's like... I don't know what happened there, but you get the point. And you could carry the melody with another pattern, right? So it's like you have one pattern going here and then another pattern going here. I could use, as an example, the one from Fantasy Impromptu I made a video about. So it's this one. Right, so those are kind of the ones I was thinking of. Applications. Right. Now, let me just briefly tell you how powerful this is. First of all, there's a greater pattern going on here. So it's not just 3 keys that you're playing and then moving it across. You're doing other things as well. Importantly, you're playing a chord and moving it across, right? An octave. You're ingraining the interval of an octave into your hand. It can be useful. Oh, it's useful everywhere. It's so useful. It's you can use and abuse it in so many ways. So for one, you might want more notes, like in between notes, right? It's quite easy to do. You might have 2 more, so you have like a whole C minor, you have C, E flat, G, C, right? And you move that around. You lose the rhythmical aspect pretty quickly like this. Well, I mean, strictly speaking, there is a rhythm going on here, and it's quite complicated, depending on how you structure it. It's not all lost. Let's put it that way. If you ask me, you've added something to it, quite literally. But yeah, and you can obviously do the same with the right hand. So, right. So the pattern here is moving an octave across. And now, if we just let go of the fact that we're always putting the first finger on the last finger, we can do more things, right? So we could have 4 completely different notes. So that's minor 7th, C minor 7th. Okay, so there's no octave here, but we can still move it across an octave with the same ingrained muscle memory. It's a simple adjustment. So I'm sorry. Right? So very, very powerful, very powerful, very whatever the opposite of cerebral is, dumb, right? It's dumb. It's so silly and it's great. It's silly and it's great. You only have to think, well, just now it was F minor 7th. So that's all you need to think. How great is that? But yeah, so you can either have 5 notes. Okay, yeah, I know it's not very. It's quite quite predictable this where this is going, but you can have like you can have This is a bit more difficult for me, but let's say, oh, actually, that's better. So it's kind of like a D flat major chord with a B and a, I don't know, I'm not a jazz musician. I should know this basic thing, I guess, but it becomes a scale, basically. Yep. So I guess that's all I have to say about adding keys to into the mix. You could have, you know, 4 on the left and 5 on the right, and you've got a nice polyrhythm going on, right? You could have like that was a bit messy. I'm sorry. You can also extend it. This is one of my favorites. So if you've got, you know, if you're struggling with the octave thing, this won't be for you, I'm afraid. But if you have a, you know, sizable hand, you can make it into what's it called? An octave and a I don't know, I can't speak. So that interval. So it's from it's what is this? 14th. Pretty cool. No, it's 10. It's 10. It's sorry. I'm thinking octave is a 12. No, it's 10. So you have from D flat to E, or C sharp to E rather, or C to E flat, or, you know, anything. I find it easier with my hand to have a, you know, sharp scale to play this technique with. But so you, instead of having an octave and an in-between note, you have a tenor and an in-between note. Works quite nicely. So just to demonstrate, like that. Nice. It has more to it, right? It's great. It's because this gets kind of it's simple, right? And you might not get all the notes you want in there to represent the chord. You might be doing a melody and you want all the harmony down here as possible. So that's when this is useful. It also makes it sound greater. You also lose the you know, repetition going on the octave. That's right, you don't have it going on. You have a right. So it sounds more advanced, and well, it is in a sense. So yeah, and my absolute favorite is having 4 keys and then, you know, with this larger interval. So this is, you know, this way of or this arrangement is the best, not the best, but one of the best ways, in my view, to play a chord. Right? It sounds magnificent. This interval in and of itself is something just great. And yeah, I guess I'll play an example where I use these techniques. So I'll just use this C sharp minor. That's how I feel. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Let me just say one more thing. This technique is a cancer. Yeah, you heard me. It's cancer. It's everywhere. Can't get rid of it. One thing I want you also as like a takeaway before I close this off is so just to kind of sum up what we've done in this video and also the previous one I made, and it's the kind of process of adopting a technique into your improvisation. So first you recognize a pattern in music, composed piece or otherwise, it can be something you discover yourself. That's how patterns are, it doesn't have to be from anywhere. All right. So you recognize the pattern, then you abstract the pattern, and all that means is you play it, you play the pattern with whatever comes to mind. Chords, melodies, you name it. Rhythms, that's the abstraction. And then the third step is application. Right, so you mess around with it in your improvisation. You just mess around with it. Play. And also, I guess in recognizing the pattern, you should also, or abstracting the pattern, you should also kind of root it deep. That's part of that step. You get it just hardwired. That's how that works. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was of use for someone. This is something that's been very useful for me, and yeah. Goodbye.